Hi everyone, just wanted to do a brief summary for last week's coursework. The um, discussion boards about the Accountable Care Collaborative. So we talked about the Accountable Care Collaborative in Colorado, and really all of the issues. Obviously, it was a data-based collaborative, so um, they instead of kind of starting with clinical care and building into data, they kind of backed into the clinical care and started with the data, which is kind of a backwards way from the way many accountable care organizations work. But so they had several data issues. But so the first issue I want to talk about had to do with attribution. So these were the issues that mainly folks brought up in the board. So I just wanted to highlight kind of the most major issues. So attribution issues specifically related to the primary care providers. So the issue was related to oftentimes the Medicaid population is one that is somewhat a migrating population, moves around quite a bit, and that what would happen is if the recipient would not actually choose their own primary care provider under this program, they would be attributed one based on previous data. And that was problematic because these oftentimes the provider was not in their area, either due to the fact that the patient had moved to another place or um, they were just not, maybe they were choosing the provider based on the billing entity instead of the performing entity, which could be solved based on better data analysis. But in any case, it was just it's a problem with the data, not necessarily with the patient, but they really need to fix that from an organizational standpoint on the data side. There were really some steps they could take to do a better job with the attribution. Also, there were a few other data issues. One also had to do with the notion of the population, the Medicaid population itself. So they do move around quite a bit. They tend to be a group of folks that tends to move from place to place. So the it affects not only your ability to track addresses on the Medicaid population, but also the Medicaid population goes in and out of eligibility because eligibility guidelines for Medicaid are quite stringent. So you may be eligible for Medicaid this month, but next month maybe you've obtained some work, or you have a spouse that's obtained some work, and perhaps you're not eligible anymore. So, or maybe you're eligible for a Medicaid program because you're pregnant and you have the baby, so you're not eligible anymore. So, your eligibility for the program is variant based on what's going on in your life, and it seemed that this program actually only tracked those that were eligible, which was fine. But then if you had patients that had been eligible and weren't anymore, and then became eligible again, it didn't have their previous data. So it was only tracking those that were currently eligible. It wasn't the best as far as historical data, which is problematic when you're trying to do accountable care. So it wasn't the greatest for historical data. Also, behavioral health data. It wasn't tracking any behavioral health data, which is from a privacy perspective is fine. Especially, I'm not familiar. I haven't really done any work in Colorado, so I'm not familiar with the privacy laws specific to Colorado. And often states will have laws more stringent than HIPAA with regard to behavioral health, mental health records. So they may have had, or they may have, uh, specific laws that are more stringent than HIPAA that are protecting those records, and that could be part of the problem. But and I did mention this in the discussion boards, if you're trying to build risk data, or if you're trying to look from accountable care perspective and build some kind of risk database, and you don't have that behavioral health data, that can truly be a problem because obviously you need that data for developing overall risk profiles. And if you don't have that, that can certainly be problematic. So you really would want that data, and you would need to find a way to have that. Also, just from a care team, coordination of care team perspective, that primary care provider, that's kind of the quarterback of the care team, is really going to want to have or be knowledgeable, at least at a base perspective, of what's going on with that patient's behavioral health. And if if the patient has extensive behavioral health diagnoses, but that primary care provider has no knowledge, that's somewhat problematic. And it reminds me, it makes me think back to the video that we watched from last week. I think it was. Weeks are flying by so fast I can't keep track. But Dr. Berwick, the IHI video, where he was seeing the patient for the first time, but where the allergist came in, or I think it was an allergist came in with the video with the mom and the young child, and the allergist came in to save the day with the medication. Now, had he been that patient's regular primary care provider, and it doesn't sound like he was, but had he been that patient's regular primary care provider, that would have been problematic, I would think. He should have been aware of what was going on with that patient's specialty care. But it sounded like it was the first time he was seeing that patient. So that was probably the primary care provider was not available that day, or something. Who knows what the situation was? But interesting video that was. But same kind of thing. Like the person that's leading that team from a primary care perspective really needs to have the whole picture, and this behavioral health data not being available can kind of put the kibosh to that. One last thing I wanted to mention on the Colorado topic, and I don't recall if anyone mentioned this or not, but the one thing they do mention way at the end of the article is how with a robust health information exchange throughout the state, it would actually replace a good number of the functions of that state data analytics contractor, which I think is interesting. They did say it's highly unlikely that they would ever get health information exchange throughout the state, which is too bad. But it sounds like they do have some small regional exchanges going on now, but with a more robust statewide health information exchange, they would actually be able to replace a lot of these functions. So something for them to look forward to if they ever do get to that point. But I thought that was interesting that apparently many of these functions could simply be replaced by just sharing records throughout the state. So that was an interesting topic as well there. I did want to talk a little bit about the final project, so I'm going to flip over to that. There we go. So here's the final project. So it's not due this week. Obviously, it's due in week 7, but I wanted to give you a little bit of a head start on it. So what it is really talking about linking the triple aim to care coordination, population health models, something of that nature. So it's 6 to 8 pages, and you can choose any kind of a provider type. It doesn't have to be where you work. It can just be a provider organization of your choosing, and the hospital, skilled nursing facility, home health, physician practice. It doesn't matter what provider organization, and you're looking to meet the triple aim through some more coordinated care, some more detailed care coordination effort. So maybe you're going to join an accountable care organization. Maybe you're going to just get involved in some more innovative payment model. There's lots of different innovations out there. Obviously, we've looked at some of those innovations. Maybe you're just going to do a more complex care coordination in your organization. Maybe you're going to address population health in your organization in a different way. It doesn't necessarily have to be a payment model. It can just be addressing vulnerabilities or addressing um, population health in some way. So that's what we're talking about. But you want to talk about linking the triple aim. So uh, improved service, improved quality and service, improved population health, and decrease in cost, linking that triple aim to some coordination of care population health model in your organization. So, and if you want to address it from the payer side, I think we have a few folks that work in the payer setting. If you want to address it from the payer side, feel free, but be sure to make sure it's much easier to link the triple aim to the provider side than it is from the payer side. But so make sure that you're addressing the triple aim as well. Decrease in cost, improve service, improve population health. So make sure that you're addressing the triple aim as well on the payer side. But that's it. It's you don't have to turn anything in this week. I just wanted, there's no rough draft or anything due this week, but I just wanted to bring it up this week. Let everyone know that it's due in week 7, and that's it. So any questions on the paper, please just let me know, and I'll be happy to, if you want to review your topic with me, I'm happy to go over that. And I guess that's probably it. So any questions on anything, like I said, let me know, and I hope everyone has a wonderful Thanksgiving, and I will talk to everyone on the discussion boards. Thanks so much.